Thanks, Bill.
Number 7, 8 in the office last year.
Hi. You get the food. So expensive.
I know. It's like the only thing
For
that gets here.
cold, for a cold sub.
It's the only thing that gets here quickly. I'm like, it's easy to have delivered. What else should I order?
We'll just eat after.
I'm so hungry.
I have a protein shake in my office. Yeah, I'll wait. Hi, everybody. What up? Well, I'll wait a couple minutes. So before the class, I was like going through like all the groups that I'm a part of, writing down a list, and then I'm gonna go back through and check to see and like make a spreadsheet of which ones allow you to post like your listings and stuff. Like, cause you know, some days are like Monday, Tuesday between 2 and 3, right? Yeah, so I'm gonna make a spreadsheet of those. Just writing them down, like, holy cow, I belong to a lot of different groups. Right? What time was it? That's probably what we're gonna get. All right. Well, welcome everybody. Nice to see your faces. I was talking to Marie this morning. I was like, so no one comes and I'll do this, right? Like, I don't I don't want to just do it for, you know, no one on Zoom. Hello. So I was thinking, Marie gave me some like touch points on how do you make a buyer's class a 201? You know, like instead of just like a beginner buyer's class, you know, so I have some kind of bullet points to go through here. And if we go, if anything like interests you guys and you want to delve deeper in, like, even if there's like a real world problem that you're having right now, you want to put it in the group and see how they would handle, you know, such clients. Haley just has a fun one today, for sure. But if you don't know me, most of you, but I'm Pharen, hi. I have been in real estate pretty much my entire life. I started doing commercial industrial real estate appraisals with my mom since I was about 8 years old, literally taping actual photos onto her reports. And then, you know, once I was 16, I got a little bit more. I was the vice president. I got, you know, there's 2 of us in her business. And went around and searching for municipalities, like comp searching and all that good stuff. So that's when I swore I would never do real estate. Never say never, right? Commercial is a whole different monster though, especially appraisals. It's like writing a freaking book report every day of your life, obviously. But so I've been on the residential side since May of 2013 and just kind of hit the ground running. I was a stay-at-home mom and then went back to bartending, you know, as most of us have, and went from slinging drinks to slinging houses, right? So I've actually I've been in top sales, you know, pretty much since I started too. Last year was actually, I think, one of my worst years since I started. 17 units, and I was didn't even hit like 5 mil in sales last year. That was very scary and nuts. So this year, like every year in January, I'm gonna do this, right? Well, I have been trying to actually put it on a paper and to really work what I haven't done before, because I do not want to see another year like last year. So just mailers, farming, all that good stuff, you know, listings, what you guys weren't here before, but I've been sending these out. I'm just kind of committed to myself just to do like 2 a day and not get like overwhelmed. So CMA, we can go over that too, just like a little 1-pager for my past clients, things like that. So bringing back to the buyers, I actually love working with buyers, especially first-time homeowners. A lot of them, you know, are really a lot older these days. Like the first-time home buyers are, you know, like 35, ish, you know, 30, 35, even 40 when they buy their first home. So it's not like you're working with a lot of young kids, but they still obviously have, well, my dad said this, and my mom said that, and they bought 30 years ago, blah, blah, blah. So it's learning on how to, it took me a little while actually to take it in and be like, well, I'm sure they mean well. However, this is how it goes now. And if you know me at all, you know, it's really hard for me to have any sort of filter and my face shows everything. So I've really been trying to hold back and put that away because you're just like, oh my God. Crap, did my face just say that out loud? Crap, okay, all right. But so first when talking to a buyer on the phone, right, what I do, I let them talk, ask questions. I know, again, we're trying to say like, how do we bring this into a 201 class as opposed to a 101, but it's kind of like my standard. I just take notes, make it personal, and genuinely, I end up finding something that I can connect with them. You know, like I've lived in Germany, my house is from California, we have 4 boys, and blah, 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 like something in there, like you're gonna connect with something, with someone on some level, right? Dogs, I have a dog. Oh my gosh, okay, one, yeah.
How many houses do you show before you get them under contract? Do you sign a contract right away, or do you like?
Before I haven't signed the exclusive?
Yeah.
So I normally, I'm pretty good on the phone, like with my buyer consult, and I know pretty much right away, and kind of tell from what they're telling me, or how they're saying it to me, is if we're going to be a match or a good fit, right? So when I first take them out, I show clauses, sometimes they need to see 5 houses that one day, and sometimes I mean they're seeing 20, right? But whenever we write an offer, that's when I have my contract go in. That's when I just have them sign everything. And so when we get to the contract part, that's when I say, okay, so my system, dot loop, it'll take you, read through everything first. It's gonna look like one continuous document, right? However, it's multiple documents in one. Scroll through it first and then call me with any questions. And then I tell them this right off the rip. I will go line by line item with you. I want you to be 100% secure in what you're signing. Once you're okay, I never say if. Like, if you're good after that, no, it's like, once you're good with what you're signing, then scroll back up, click start, and go all the way through. And that's where I have my exclusive, you know, the addendum, that's where I have like my compliance fee and all of that.
So you would show them 10 houses potentially without being under contract with them?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You know, and I know that's usually a big no-no for some people. I hate being pressured, and I don't want to pressure anyone else either if it comes up. So some buyers are really educated, like this couple that I have actually from out of state. They're moving back to Michigan from Arizona. And she's like, you know what, we really like you. What do we need to sign up exclusive or something? Absolutely, you do. Here you go. Especially if they bring it up, for sure. You know, but at first, right now, I'm trying to get in front of you and make a connection. And honestly, see if I want him to sign an exclusive with me. Because I pick and choose who I want to work with. Like, if you can't, if I already think that you're like second guessing and questioning me and just, or even just a dick, like, I don't want to work with you. I'll pass you on. No. But yeah, that's when I usually have my exclusive signed. So consult, taking notes. And then I tell all of my buyers this too, during the consult, like, this is a learning curve. Like, by the time we have seen a couple of houses together, you're gonna look at houses differently, even on Zillow. So especially, you know, we have a ton of FHA buyers, right? It's a great loan product. They don't need to put 3.5% down. I have a lot of people that can go conventional that are going FHA because even with the PMI, it's still cheaper monthly than if they're not putting full 20% down on conventional, right? So when I take them out, I'm like, I'm pointing this out, I'm pointing, you see these cracks right here, or I see this crack in the wall, you can't put a quarter in it, don't worry about it. don't fix it if it's not broken. Actually, that foam will expand it and make it worse, you know? Look at this peeling paint. So the appraiser may hit on this. How do you guys feel about doing any repairs when it's not your house? So we were like, I love it. I don't care, right? And then others like, oh, is that really a thing? Well, let's wait and see what the appraiser comes. It's all, you know, their educated decision on what they're gonna head on or not. They're sticklers about peeling paint, right? But I tell them all that. I'm like, so when you're looking at houses from the portal or on Zillow or Realcomp or whatever, Realtor.com, you're now trained to look at this and look at the pictures before you even send it to me. So you know what you're willing to do and what you're not willing to do. And then that brings me into, oh, so you say you don't mind like a fixer-upper? What's a fixer-upper to you? Are you ready to take down a wall? Like, well, no, I mean like carpet and paint. I'm like, okay, I don't care what price point you're at, from 50,000 to 5 million, count on doing flooring and paint, right? Those are the two most personal things you can put into a house, unless you have beautiful hardwoods and stark white, which probably would be anyway, like you're gonna be doing that. So that to me is not doing a renovation. So that's all relative, like everything in real estate, right? So gauging where they're at, because I could find a house in their price point, but you know, knock down a wall and repair the roof or whatever. They're like, oh no, that's too much. That's too much of a renovation, right? So kind of interpreting what they're telling you is the big key. Yeah, so we'll never view a house same way again. So my number one rule, and I learned this big time my first year in real estate, don't chase that check, man. Like, be there for real for your buyers. Be genuine. I don't know how to tell you to be genuine, because either you like them or not, but like this is the biggest investment of their entire life. No one wants to be sold to. Don't push me. Like I can smell BS right away and I'm instantly like turned off, you know? And I tell my clients that too. I'm like, you have to live here, not me. However, if you are making a mountain out of a molehill, I'm gonna rein you back in and tell you that this is just silly. Like you're in a $550,000 house and you're pissed now because the washer and dryer you thought were coming with it aren't. Come on, right? Let's go back. Oh, well, this, I didn't notice this stuff in the wall over here, and that's gonna be $5,000. Anything a buyer has to freaking do is $5,000. I don't know why, but it is, for real. But when you come to them concerning and genuine and truly have their interest at heart, they can tell, right? Like, oh, I wanna back out of this deal, and that's why I tell my people all the time, like, we can back out for anything in the first 5 to 7 days, anything. I'm like, buyer's remorse is for real. They're like, oh, okay, well, I was like, I don't wanna upset you, blah, blah, blah. Like, it's not upsetting me. Like, you're the one that has to live here. Now, if they do it multiple times, like, that's just a dick move, and no, we're gonna, serious come to Jesus moment. But yeah, don't chase that check. Don't push them into a house, because they will feel like that. Good luck getting a referral out of that either. You know, like, oh, they pushed me into this one. I've had it even to where I was trying to talk people out of a freaking house. They bought it and they're like, oh, I should have listened to you. Why didn't you tell me? And they're like mad at me because I didn't have them not sign. I don't know. I'm like, okay, there's just always a whipping boy, right? Cool. That's what we are. Kill the messenger. I learned this one too, the big time in I think in my second year, I was dealing with, we still had a lot of foreclosures around and everything, and I was showing houses in, I think it was like Garden City. And it was right across the street from basically the projects. A nicer home, they had done a couple additions, so it was like, I think one's like a smaller ranch, then an addition above, an addition behind it, ended up being like a 5-bedroom house, like way overdone for the area. And this younger guy, I think maybe just a couple of years younger than me at the time, but it's gonna be like 2013, 2014. And I knew he had 2 younger daughters. And he's like, well, what do you think? And I was like, well, I wouldn't live here with my daughters, right? And he's like, well, why? And I'm like, well, you have the projects, the apartments right across the street. There's literally people out right now. It's 8:30 at night on a Wednesday. But no, I wouldn't feel safe here. Wouldn't feel safe with my kids in here because of that. And we had seen a couple houses before, so like we had a different kind of like rapport or whatever. I never heard from him again. And I saw as soon as I said that I wouldn't move my daughters here, like his face dropped because I didn't realize at the time that he was actually excited about it. You don't know what people are coming from and what a step up is. You know, your own opinion is completely relative. I'm sure I did some ethics things in there too, being a newer agent, you know, trying to get them out of project area. But when it comes to safety and stuff, so now my line is, if people are not aware of the area that they're moving to, especially when someone's like coming in from out of state. I used to have all my buyers call the local municipality and ask the dispatcher, like, what kind of calls do you get around here? And about 8 years ago, they changed it to crimemapping.com. So that's where they're pushing, like if you call any municipality, it will tell you to go to crimemapping.com. So whenever anything like that comes up, I'm like, well, I don't know what you're okay with, but if you're concerned about any crime in the area, go here. You can type in any address. It even has like a funny little burglary face, you know, that tells you, and it's all over, like, I think all over the nation, but definitely in Michigan. So yeah, you don't know what they're coming from and what they're willing to live in. Cause I definitely wouldn't move there, but
Yeah.
you do. Yeah, well, right. And so I'm like, I know I had to say something that was unethical or against that at the time, being a newer agent, obviously, I don't know. But when someone's asking you, would you move here? I was too honest. So no, we're gonna reel that in. So I learned from that, and now we don't say that. We go to crimemapping.com. That's my favorite one. Let's see. Okay, then Marie wanted me to talk to you about how do you divert your clients if they're approved by a big box bank over your local lender. Do you guys have this conversation come up a lot? Is this like a concern? Yeah. So this is where my buyer consult kind of gets a little wordy, and I feel I may be throwing too much information at them, especially if they're newer home buyers, because they really don't understand. You have to make them kind of understand, or at least trust you to let them know that it's a big deal to have your own in-house processor, and that they're only going to talk to 3 different people on the team, right? As opposed to Quicken, you're going to talk to 14 different people. The right hand doesn't talk to the left. You're resending information, you know. So I kind of say that, like, hey, if you send someone a document and then 12 hours later, someone from that team ask for the same document, are you going to be annoyed? Well, yeah, well, that's how the big box things work, right? So, and I've gone into bankers work bankers hours. When do you want to see homes? When you're out of work, 5 or 6. Are the banks open then? No. So if we're in a multiple offer situation and I need to update a pre-approval letter, if it's not my preferred lender, how am I getting that? Like, I can't send over an offer package without having the correct pre-approval letter. So it's really holding you back on that, right? But using my local lender, you're getting his personal cell phone number. I don't tell them that I even have Word docs. They're good, cool. It all boils down to customer service, and that's how I get them. It's like interest rate is usually government mandated, but it's customer service and who's going to service you the best. Because if you go to Bank of America, their salary, they don't care if you close or not. They may get a little kickback if your mortgage closed, but they're a bank that has a mortgage division. Like, we want to go with a local lender who all they do is mortgages, to where no one wants your loan to close more than them and I, because we don't get paid until that happens. The banks, they don't care. They're off at 3, right? Good luck calling them between 11 and 1, and then they're gone. And especially, Joe, I've had this, I was like, what if their processing team is in California? I've had that, to where banks here, but now you have to send your file to California. That's 3 hours difference. We're closing at 9, at 6 a.m. there. Are your docs gonna be ready? And so it's just a whole conundrum. I was like, you want to go with the local lender. I was like, in fact, I've actually won a couple offers because of the lender that I'm using, because he's done so much in this area and in this community that the listing agents know him, know how he works, and want to work with them, and know that he's not going to approve anybody that isn't already underwritten. And it's a small community. Like, yeah, there's a lot of us, but the ones that do business, it's small. right? Same with lenders. So I'll see what they're receiving and how they're kind of taking that information, and then like in-house processing. If they need a document, I can literally just run it to that building and send it down, like, and you don't know what you don't know. And especially as a first-time home buyer, like all of this I'm saying to you is kind of in one ear and out the other. But I'm telling you right now, if you're doing a disservice to yourself, if you don't get at least one more lender on the phone. So did you know that you can actually interview up to 5 different lenders and your credit only gets hit that first time within the first 30 days? They're like, oh, really? I thought I get hit every time. Well, no, you have an inquiry, but just reach out to my guy, see if you like him. If you don't, at least you know, and you know all of his service fees up front. Well, this guy says that he could get me down to a 5%. Well, you're paying for that on the back end and asked to get that in writing. And I've asked for spreadsheets before, like, show me a breakdown of all your fees. I'm like, and once you ask them that, you'll see that you're actually paying to buy that down. And I was like, and my guy interest rate matches too, which most of them do, right? So I'm like, what are you losing right now? Like, he has his own app, just oh, you're right, okay, you're right. And I think once you like seriously say that you're doing yourself a disservice by not at least shopping around and getting one other opinion, they're usually hooked on that, for sure. Pass that all right. Doing yourself a disservice. There it is. Building out their portal. Kaylee had a fun one today. And this is all through the buyer consultation, right? Where do you want to live? Well, I want to live 30 minutes from here in a white house, blah, blah, with not a chain link fence, only privacy, whatever. So I'm like, okay, so I can't search by that, but I can do bathrooms, blah, 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 whatever. Especially to give me like a laundry list. That's when I'll put them on a concierge portal, right? To where I can go through and view before I send anything over to them. If they're kind of just, send me whatever, basement or whatnot. And I tell my people too, I'm like, the least amount of criteria that I put in here, the better results you're going to get. I'm like, so give me your like top 2 to 3 like straight up deal breakers. Like if it has this, no, right? And I'll put those in. I've literally been showing a house that had a full finished basement and a pole barn in back, and it said no garage and no basement on the listing ticket. You could even see the pole barn in the first photo. You know, so I even tell my buyers that like the information is only as good as the realtor that inputs it, right? So just give me the least amount, and once we get a feel, like once we go out at least once or twice, and I really know your aesthetic, and so I can dwindle it down. I was like, but for right now, especially while they're going through the process of getting approved, and we really don't know what their budget is anyway, I just kind of put them on like a daily or ASAP thing. I'm like, none of this criteria is set in stone. We can change anything. You're like, oh, I'll do Howell, Pickney, Brighton, whatever. Like, if you come to me like, oh man, no, I really don't want Howell. I'm like, dude, just maybe 30 minutes when I want to do it, I'll take it off. No big deal. You're like, oh, really? Yeah, for sure. And then I also try to never knock like Zillow or Realtor.com or anything like that. And I'll explain it to them like, listen, if anything comes to you that was not sent by me, or I just told you about the pole barn, that there was no garage, I'm like, it's things like that, right? So feel free, send me the address, send me the text. I'll look into it for you and let you know. And a lot of times with Zillow and Realtor.com, they're third party, and they're not governed by anything. So there's a lot of stale criteria. So I'll let you know if it was sold 3 years ago, or if it's in fact still active, right? Like, oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. But yeah, like what can you not live without? Some people really don't want a basement. Like they prefer a crawl or slab. That's easy enough, right? I can change whatever. Oh, and this is where I ask, what are you actually willing to do with the home? Like, are you just talking about like ripping out carpet or painting the red wall? Literally, not even kidding. I had new home buyers walk out of a house because of one red wall. That was gonna be $5,000 to paint, according to them, in the dining room. I was like, I will gift you the 5 gallon of white paint that you need for closing. It's just too much work. Cool. This is fun.
Pharen,
Yeah,
how do you show a house?
from like door to finish.
Yeah.
Well, I would actually, I've done field trips before and taken classes to show like how I do it. I really try to gauge their reaction first, and then I try to not say too much negative, or if they have something negative to say, I'll spin it in a certain way. Or if they're really down, try to like, oh my God, this carpet is freaking trash. I mean, yeah, I can see shit stuck to it. I agree, you know.
Are you a
But I
person
don't
that's
know.
like, oh, here's the kitchen? Or do you wait in the kitchen, or do you follow them, or do you leave them?
That is a complete, it's all relative. It's completely different for each person that I take out. Some people really need the hand holding. And I can kind of gauge that too when I'm on the phone with them for the buyer consultation, or if we do meet up in person or whatever. Other people, especially if we stay with the houses together, no, I'll just let them go. Like, okay, you go, I'll try to walk in, and if they're talking like in the living room, I'll run through and like flip on lights and things like that, open up curtains, just so they can get the best light. Or if anything funky comes out and be like, hey, go look at this over here. But no, it's definitely all relative. It's just like every house, each buyer is different, you know? At first, if I'm first meeting them, like for the first couple showings, then you kind of tell what personality they have, and if they're waiting for you to walk first, or if they're walking and you're following them, right? So I'm kind of going off their lead. And then, you know, there's a couple safety things that I do not adhere to that I should, like with going down to the basement first, or, you know, they say like, oh, get there and unlock the door first. Well, if they're following you, you have 15 showings that you're doing, that's not possible, right? But no, I just, I try to be very observant and try to take in the personal cues. Because they're telling you without telling you, like body language, like how are their feet pointed to you, if they're even making eye contact with you when you're trying to tell them something important. And if how many submissive people do you see that take, you know, the wife or the husband's lead, that they don't care about what they say? Like you're just a salesman to them, you know? So yeah, I try to be conscious of those personal cues. Did I answer that? Okay, thanks. Do you want me to go through a house? Like, so, there's a crack over here. No, don't worry about that. It's a step crack. And this is where, so usually, especially if they're, you know, FHA, I'll point out all those defects, like, oh my God, there's a ton of peeling paint. And then like for my own house, where VA, they hit on our peeling paint in our detached garage around the door frame, you know? And so I'll tell them this, like, I know it's silly, but it could be lead, I guess, it's job security, I don't know. So I'll point out all of that.
What do you bring with you? When you get home?
So I used to give just like bottles of water, things like that. If I know that like kids are coming or something, I used to have like a little basket of candy and all that, but COVID kind of put the kibosh on all that. So I really don't hand out anything. I think it'd be fine now, honestly, the past couple of years. I've kind of just gotten used to not giving them anything.
Or like you give them disclosures, and let's take it, you bring that, you have an iPad, you use your phone.
I used to do all of, like I would put them in a row, stapled with all the disclosures and everything. And like I said, COVID kind of put a kibosh on that. So I just stopped. And I mean, I have my phone. They have their phone. A lot of the times, especially if they're type A, then I will bring, I used to give out the little notebooks for them, like here, take notes and write them down right now. Especially, actually, I still do that for my out of town clients. Like if we're coming in, we're hitting it hard, then I'll give them as much information as possible. But before we walk out of the house, I'll ask them, give me 2 to 3 things that you absolutely love about this house, right? What are a couple of things that you dislike completely? Is this a contender? I was like, write it down right now in the listing ticket, Because by the time that we're done, I call it Frankensteining houses, like, was that the one with the pool? No, that was a long driveway. No, that was the pole barn. You know, like right before we even leave the house, I'm having to write down notes. It's just, yeah, it's kind of been different this past year. I didn't really have to do that unless it was an out of town person. But I should go back to it. Because people now, like some, especially like some type A's, they want something tangible, you know? But I mean, if they're asking like, oh, is this well water or septic or whatever, like I just have my phone out and check it for them, like, no big deal. Yeah, it's not as, I think usually now there's not enough out there to where we're only seeing one, maybe two.
Yeah.
That's not crazy how it was where you're hitting 10, you know? Kind of miss those days.
Yeah.
It's fun, man, let's go.
Got a buyer, you're like, sweet, I'm getting paid in 60 days.
Right, for real, let's go. Let's go. And I do that too, like, if I know that my clients, they both work full-time, if I see a house that comes on the market, I'm in it. I'll go and preview it for them, and I'll usually text thread, you know, all three of us, like, hey, does anyone have time to jump on a call? I wanna walk you through this house, walk you through this house, and kind of see what I'm seeing. Or if I know it's something that they love, I'll literally call and be like, can you get off work? Can you take a lunch? Something, what time can you come and see it tonight? This is gonna go, you really want this. But that's actually done a lot. 'Cause a lot of people work until, you know, 6 or whatever, it's just coming on. I'll go preview it for them for sure.
How are you, how are you educating your buyers on the current market conditions and how to write an offer when they become that?
That is coming up. And I guess we go right into there. Like anything in real estate, it's all relative, right? So if the house has been sitting on the market, Murphy's Law, they have 3 offers. And it's been there for 80 days. Right? So I will call and check, especially if I'm only showing like 1 or 2 houses. I'll call ahead, I'll call the listing agent or text them or something like, hey, do you have any offers? Whatever. And then while we're in the house, they're like, yeah, love it, want to write it. What do you think that we need to do? If I have not already, we'll go over, well, if there's multiple offers, I'm like, this is what we have to do, appraisal guarantee with an escalation clause. If you like that, I actually have my own document where I escalate the escalation clause and the appraisal guarantee if need be, because I've gotten beat out to where they're like, oh, what was $2,000 more? Freaking told you to come back to me. Like, let me know. You know, so what I tell my clients, and they still, some get it, some don't, is what number are you going to be upset by if the house goes a little bit over that? So if we're offering 390, and it goes for 391, is that okay for you because the house wasn't worth a penny more? And I started off kind of saying like, what number you're comfortable at, and then I'm like, you know what, I can't even say that because you're not going to be comfortable because you're going over, right? So it's what number are you going to be upset with that the house went for? If you're like, oh, if only I would have went 3 more grand, then we're going 4 grand.
What's your walkaway number? Like,
Right. And then they're like, well, I don't know, we need to talk about that, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, what if, are they gonna come back to you? No. Well, I don't know. They don't have to. Well, that's just not negotiating. Well, they're asking for your highest and best, so they're assuming that you're not going to go any higher. Now, me being a listing agent, hell yeah, I'm going back to every one of them. Like, this is what I have. Can you beat it? Do you want it? But a lot of agents don't work like that. I just won a multiple offer multiple offer situation. And he's like, well, I'm just, you know, I'm not trying to, you know, squeeze every dime out of people and just, you know, your highest and best, your highest and best. And I was like, asking my head, like, why? Like, aren't you working for the seller? Like, and then the next conversation, he's like, well, I'm so sorry to come back to you, but then this guy went, you know, a couple grand higher. What can you do? Well, I was like, don't be sorry. Like, this is your job. That's okay. When my guys are tapped out, I'll let you know. But things are even coming back to me, and negotiating on it, you know? So yeah, we went higher. We actually, man, we went from 160, we got it for 226.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that was a duplex in Westland. That was 2 weeks ago. So, and there was actually two duplexes. Both of them were 160. One side of the duplex was a complete gut. These people were pissed when they left. They kicked in the boilers. They literally kicked them in, holes in every single wall. The other duplex was actually fully tenanted and nice. It's like, well, at first we offered a little bit less on the one that was, I mean, to be gutted, right? No, man, it was gung ho, 226 for each. They were both listed at 160. So, and you know, we were the second showing as soon as it like went on. I mean, he cut it off after 4 days of showing. Like it was nuts. So to go back to that, hey, it's been on the market for 37 days. You might be able to get sellers concessions and all that. We see what they have in hand. And then we'll structure our offer. And then, oh my gosh, well, this just came on the market and they have 17 offers. So this is what we have to do. How much money you have to play with, because you have to put your money where your mouth is. And I still feel even explaining the appraisal guarantee and the gap coverage, like, oh man, doesn't just like suck the life out of you? So I'm like, I like to be in person, like, all right, here's the sliding scale. You don't have to guarantee the entire gap coverage. This is 25,000. You say, hey, I'm gonna come in with 7 grand. So 7 grand, and here I feel like I'm a Price is Right with that sliding scale, and to do it like over the phone for real, man. Yeah.
What about the new buyer that wants to lowball, like they think, you know, it's like the first time they're making an offer and they say the asking price is 200,000. I'm gonna offer 190 or in,
Right.
how do you like work with them?
And it just came on the market.
It's like they want on the market and it's like,
I'll tell them they're gonna lose it.
Yeah.
And a lot of times they have to lose 1 or 2 before they start to see that it's really, you know what the heck you're talking about. And I'll tell them like, okay, well, you're gonna lose this. Just take note that you're going 10 grand under when other people are probably going 10 to 15 grand higher. Like, okay, well, let's just try it. Let's just try it. All right, this is your one. I'll do it. I don't want to waste my time. I don't want to waste your time either. Now, and then go into, this just came on the market. Why would they accept a lower offer when it's been on the market just showing for 2 days? I would never, and I tell them like, if this was my listing, I would never allow my seller to accept an offer that was lower with it being on the market in the first week. No way. Absolutely not. But yeah, a lot of times they have to lose it, you know, before it actually clicks. And I mean, how many buyers have you worked with where at first like, maybe I can do a $3,000 appraisal gap coverage, and by the time you're done with them, we're up to 27, right? You know, it's got to hold the hand and be, one of my favorite lines from Almost Famous, be truthful and unmerciful, you know, but in a polite way. It's all with the delivery, right?
So if someone's budget's like 300 and the picture's perfect, $300,000 house is coming up, but you know they can't go a penny above 300. Are you showing them that house? Or are you telling them?
I'll advise against it. I will. I'm like, I understand that you want to see this and it does have everything, but do you want to hurt yourself? Because you're not going to get it at that. Like, especially like, and I'll tell them too, like, you know what? Let me pull some comps first. Let me see if they're actually priced where they should be. Let me see where they're at, you know? And then like, oh, actually my system's coming up with that. I think it would appraise at 315. Right? Like, can you go up to 315? No. Like, so now if we go and see this house, hear me out, please. Every single house you're going to compare to this one that is out of your budget and out of your price point. That's a lot of heartbreak. This is a very emotional situation for the biggest investment of your life. If you still want to see it, I'll take you. And maybe we need to step back for a little bit to where you can save some more money. If it'll take, 2 weeks. You know what? Absolutely. And that's where I feel you have to gauge even that client too. You know, and I mean, I'll put it to them like this, like every single house is going to compare to this house that is out of your budget. Or if we do end up going, sorry, one second, if we do end up going, a lot is like, oh, I didn't realize this out, this stuff over here, this patio, all waters. All right, good, but yeah, sorry.
No, going back to how you said you pull comps, do you pull comps for all your buyers in every house you guys look at, or no, just if they ask? How do you gauge that?
If it's a multiple offer situation, I may do a quick comp search just so I can let my people know, like, hey, I think it'll appraise at this one. Because honest to God, like bringing it back to that duplex, they were already way, like, they were way under. If I would have listed that, I would have been at, from the comps that I pulled, I'd have been at 215, 220 right off the rip. So with having their appraisal guarantee, I was like, you know what? We always think of that money gone, but we hope for the best, you know, pray for the best, what is that? Hope for the best, prepare for the worst, right? So again, it's kind of like a case by case basis. If we're going multiple offer situation and the listing agent already told me that they're $10, $15, $20,000, hell no, I'm not pulling comps. What's your top dollar? Let's go. Let's get this in. No, because I can give you all the paperwork known to man. Does that even matter? No, because the buyers are the market. The buyers are already saying that right, what the price is. And it's tough when you have sticklers like that. Well, what if the comps say, well, like it doesn't matter. This is the buyers. The buyers are speaking and they're willing,
Buyers
to-
set price.
right, they're, for sure. They're willing to pay this amount for, so that's the value, period, right? But no, I knew those duplexes, dude, you know, 160, I was like, they're just trying to sue bidding war here. And after talking to the listing agent, like he was actually like a pretty knowledgeable guy, but he's like, that one unit was just so messed up. I didn't realize. Literally the comps are at 200 plus, near 160. So
I almost
whatever,
feel like you shot himself in the foot if you would have listed at two, instead of got hired.
for sure. Because one had sold in Garden City in a worse area for like 230. Right? Like, and I know, like, you know, it's different West End to Garden City, but however, Garden City is less desirable than Westland. So there's that, and showing the value over there. Weird. Yeah.
Are you like always trying to get concessions for clients, or can you kind of like go through that?
I preface this for my buyers also. Like, we can go back after the inspection, right, negotiate. I said, I only go back if it's a health and safety concern. That's it. We can tell kind of what age the furnace is. Obviously, when the inspector comes, you're like, oh my God, there's not even like a bright blue flame under there, like it's gonna die. Then maybe that would give me a little bit of leeway here, like, hey, this is in worse condition than what we thought. I don't think it's gonna make it, you know? But no, I set up my buyers for that. Like, if it's not a health and safety concern, we're not going back on cosmetics. You already know this is grandma's house and she has orange cabinets. Like, no. And even if, like, let's say the roof is on its last leg or something, right? Like, oh, we didn't realize that was gonna be, you know, another 25,000 or whatever. Can we ask for that? And I'm like, well, okay, let's bring it down here. Did you think that it was a new roof when we first saw it? No. So why would the seller agree to give you a brand new roof? If anything, maybe we can ask them to half it with us, or we could ask for a couple grand towards it, you know, to take the complete load off of you, you know, because you weren't expecting that. Obviously, if it's multiple offer situation, then we're not going back with anything unless it's like legit, you know, foundation walls caving in or something. But if we have the option to come back for anything, health and safety, and usually I would always try to get anything mitigated or done before closing. If you can, do not hold money in escrow and have your people do it after closing. It's just, it could be such a nightmare. But of course, I had
Do you ask for repairs instead of money?
sometimes they'll only agree to that. You know,
So-
I always want the concession. Well, like my buyers, this one case, mold in the crawl space. The seller was willing to mitigate. And then there was, mold in the attic as well. It turned into, of course, they're friends of mine, right? It doesn't happen to freaking strangers. It always happens to family or friends. They said, yeah, they would do it. However, the crawl space, they had to wait for it to be completely dry before they could mitigate. This is now March in Sumter. I don't know if you know anything about Sumter and Belleville, the water table is really high anyway, so there's rarely any basements. But thawing, then you have the groundwater coming, and this is also happening when the conventional switch over. Remember when they just did that last year where my client, if we didn't close before like the 1st of April or something like that, her payment was gonna go like up like $250 a month because of what the administration did with like the new terms for like your interest, the interest rate and all of that for the conventional switchover. Does anyone remember that? No? Oh, God. So we had to close by a certain day or else literally her payment was gonna go.
Rate locks.
Yeah, yeah, and so, oh, it was the rate lock, they changed everything to where the more money usually you put down, or like the higher amount of conventional loan you got, the better interest rate you got, right? Now it's like if you have a lower loan amount, you get a better rate.
Yeah.
So that was like completely doing that switch over. So we were like, crap, we have to have money in escrow then to do this, and the lady had 60 days of occupancy afterwards, so we were hoping to get all of that done before people even moved in, right? And I always hold at least 1.5 times what the repair requires. Ended up being, she had to install a complete new French drain after closing because the drain piping was all crushed and cracked all around inside the crawl space. That's why it wasn't getting dry for them to mitigate anything, right? So that was another $5,000 that the seller actually came out of. And when I was talking to the listing agent, the seller was like, or the listing agent was like, well, you have to do this. She's like, well, no, I sold the house. She's like, well, do you want to end up in court? Like, this was all part of the mold mitigation and that you said that you were going to take on, right? So I mean, that could have went really either way once you leave it to the court's hands. So she ended up paying for it. Then the mold mitigation came. Then the freaking attic, I still have pictures of this. They got a quote for the mold mitigation. It was said in our contract to be done by a licensed and insured professional. They said, no, never mind. My son-in-law is going to do it. We went for our final walkthrough. They didn't tell us this, but their final walkthrough, all of the insulation is in the pole barn. I have pictures of all of it. This old insulation. You can literally see the mold on the insulation, right? Okay, maybe they're just waiting to dispose of it correctly, or they're hillbillies, so they're probably just gonna burn it out in the burn pile out back, literally. Went through, I'm taking pictures of everything. Because mind you, they have 60 days after closing, right? Yeah, this is before closing, the day of closing. So, come back. Did our key exchange. I wasn't there. Normally, I try to be at key exchanges, but it's not, when you're 60 days out, you're just like, oh, I'm actually in Florida. If she's giving them a day early, do you want to wait or what? They wanted the keys. The next day they go up in the attic, they put all the moldy insulation back in the freaking attic. All of it, and upside down. It's like the paper's supposed to be out when they put it in incorrectly. You can still see all the mold. Oh my God.
That's why you don't have sellers.
Well,
That's why I
and
asked
so,
you.
right, and so this
Yeah.
is where there was so much, so we're talking, she had to install a new septic field, that was $35,000. Then the French drain around, that was $5,000, plus the mold mitigation was another 15 on top of that. That was just for the crawl space. Then the mold mitigation, so they wouldn't come back, they wouldn't do the attic, the mold mitigation people wouldn't do the attic and then come back to do the crawl space. They wanted to do it all in one fell swoop. So we couldn't even do anything because they were gonna charge for a whole nother day to come out if they split it up in jobs, right? So my people were just like, dude, just get it done, because people just wanna come in and like just paint and move in because they had occupancy on their house. If they're moving, you know how the domino effect goes, right? So, what really sucked is it was that conventional loan kind of switch over to why everything was rushed also. Then my people get in the house and I'm like, get your ducks blown out, right? They had 2 big ass furry dogs. I've never heard this term be used in this instance before. I came over, I was like, so how's everything going? She was like, well, we had the ducks blown out. And we heard a big crash boom in the crawl space. The guy comes out looking white and he's like, your ducks are so rusted from all of the moisture in the crawl space. You need a whole abortion. And I was like, excuse me, what was that? What was that? She's like, yeah, they call it an abortion. She said it was going to be it was like $25,000 to do all of this. And he's like, I will give you a quote. He's like, please do not call me to come and do this. No. Got a second opinion. That's different guy, different company, everything. This is a full abortion. And I'm like, oh my God, like why I just cringe that fucking word. He's like, no, it's a full abortion, and please do not call my company to come and do it. Because it's just so labor intensive. They have to pull out all of the ductwork in this freaking house and have them redone. Every single piece of it.
You gotta break into the walls.
I've never heard of this term, so I'm assuming so, especially because they only have like a crawl space to work out of. So I don't know if you can just like, but it's all like, isn't it like screwed in usually?
Moisture's no joke, that is what you're saying.
Mhm.
What did your people say?
Oh, they cried, a lot, and then 2 months later, after their housewarming party, the freaking pole barn catches on fire because of the furnace that's in there. Caught the entire pole barn on fire from the insulation and everything, like their commercial grade furnace.
How did you handle all this? I'm sure you were the point that they kept going to, right?
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, they're like childhood friends of mine also. And it was just, I literally lost sleep. Like, I mean, I cried with her. Like, this just sucks. And this is again why you never push anyone into a sale, which I didn't. I told her, I was like, dude, there's mold, anything can be mitigated, as much money as you want to throw at it, but they really love the property. So she bought it against anything that I was kind of saying, thank God I did not say, oh yeah, do it, because I would be, oh my God, I would be even freaking worse. But yeah, so they ended up getting some money for the furnace. And I don't know, she's like, we're just gonna have to wait until like spring or summer to do anything with the ductwork. I don't know, they have it like rigged right now, like through the crawl space to where it's still getting heat or whatever. Oh, and they had like, you know how ducts, like they're like nice and flowing, right? One is like cut corner. She said, so this is why half of the house over here is like so freezing all the time because of the flow is all messed up. I mean, it's just, this is the craziest house. We could even do a field trip there one day, probably, but no, it was nuts. Yeah, and there was a multiple other situation too. So we went $27,000 over that one. Get that piece of crap.
That's how she deals with inspections.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I don't even remember. I try to forget. Like everything about this house. I don't even remember. I think it did. I think we did appraise. I don't think they had to end up bringing any extra money, because that's actually one of my little tricks that I do also. Having an appraiser's background, I know what appraisers look for. Very rarely, my mom is an appraiser, right? So type A, knows everything. Not changing value, right? We just have to like go through the motions, right? So if I'm doing an appraisal guarantee, escalation clause, anything like that, I have it completely separate. I do not let the lender know. I do not tell the lender, nothing like that. Same with seller's concessions. If the appraiser knows that any of these items are guaranteed or that appraisal gap is guaranteed, they do not try as hard to hit your number. And then same with concessions, for whatever reason, you would think they would try to hit the number over that, but what are you gonna do? Obviously, that's the first thing that's gone from seller's concessions if it appraises low, right? So I keep that on a completely different doc. I do have buyers and sellers both sign it, but it only comes into play if need be. So when I hand in my purchase offer, my offer package to the lender, I keep that document out. That's just in my loop, and it's just between the buyer and seller.
Do you have a separate addendum for those?
Yep.
Sorry, concessions?
Yep, seller's concessions or the appraisal guarantee, and my appraisal guarantee and the escalation clause is on one, right? And then seller's concessions is on a different form. But- They what? No. If it appraises. When it appraises at our number, then that's when I'll give them the document of the seller's concessions. So I can go into underwriting, so title knows and everything like that. But before the appraisal, they do not know that we have concessions. They do not know that anything is guaranteed.
Like that,
Mhm.
And I kept it separate as well.
Yeah,
And they were doing a buy down. And we were a little bit worried that increasing that purchase price would interfere with the.
oh, yeah,
appraisal. So I did the same thing. I did an addendum with the buy.
Yep.
Separate.
Yep.
Appraisal, actually, we ended up paying two appraisals first, they would be in that 60 under. And they didn't know, obviously, that part of that was the buy down.
Yeah, right.
The second one came out.
I mean, and so that's why I say, like, appraisers, it's their educated decision and guess, right? Like, you have the same house, we had one, this was years ago, but it was your Royal Oak bungalow that had a little addition on back. I think it was maybe like another 700 square feet or something, like nothing crazy, right? 3 different appraisal companies, $75,000 swing. Like 3 different companies, same house. I mean, because they all do their adjustments differently, right? And that's what's always got me upset with, like, especially doing like VAs, when they pull tide water and stuff like that. Because it's not usually the comps that they use, it's their math and adjustments that just don't make any sense to me. I mean, I've fought with plenty of appraisers on that, like, well, no, you need to give me 5 new comps. Like, well, you use the only 5 that were in the area. I'm not saying that that's wrong. I'm saying your adjustments. Why are you giving me less $25,000 because I have a 2-car garage as opposed to a 3-car garage? They're not building a 1-car garage brand new. Why the heck is that $25,000 worth? That doesn't make any sense. So it's usually the adjustment. So appraisers, I make me so mad. Yeah.
Appraisal, another question. On the
Yeah.
appraisal, so you verified that they have the money for the gap, even though that usually goes to the lender or somebody you know, like you've seen their big statement, you know it.
So I'll ask for that, but honestly, they can fudge those too, and I have been duped by fake ones. Oh, yeah, yeah, literally, I was like, are you fucking offering me Monopoly money? Because when push came to shove, they had no money. And it was going to be, and it was like, again, it was like another little bungalow in Westland, I was selling for a friend, it was like his income property. And they went, I think, like 13 over. I did my comps, I knew exactly where we were coming in, and we appraised exactly where I listed. And I get a call from idiot. She's like on my blackball list now. But we had done a deal together just like a year or 2 prior. Actually, I think we've done a couple deals. So like I knew her, or I thought I did, right? Like I thought she was like a good agent. And then she calls me at 10 o'clock at night, like, oh my God, it came in low. I was like, what do you mean low? She's like, well, it came in at ask. I was like, well, yeah, I knew it. She's like, well, I was like, well, we have an appraisal guarantee. She's like, well, so she's gonna have like a hefty penalty if she takes it out of her like account or whatever, so she doesn't wanna do that. Oh, no, she didn't. She didn't, no, we ended up moving forward, because we had multiple offers, but the other 3 offers that I had, they had already found houses, right? Because I mean, now you're 3 weeks in from when you first started, with the appraisal coming back, right? And they were using my preferred lender. They lied to the freaking lender. Yeah, so, and then this literally tells my lender this, she's like, well, I guess she's just SOL. And he was like, are you kidding me? He's like, you do know, like, this is my friend. Like, you can't say that. She's like, well, he's like, you literally you gave her false bank statements. And I was like, how is this not like contract fraud or something? Like, who do you take that to? You know, and because I was talking to Aaron about it, and I had this whole, I went off. She brought the bell to me like real quick in this email. And I was like, Aaron, can I just read this to you? She's like, eloquently put, do not send it. And I was like, okay. It's like, well, it feels really good to read this out loud to you right now. Like, what the heck? So yes, I will always ask, I will always check. However, they can falsify those and you have like no pull.
And the buyer's agent knew,
Yeah,
she knew that it was all made, like, wasn't gonna go. through.
yeah,
So it wasn't just the
And
buyer
she
lying,
admitted
buyer
to-
wasn't lying to the buyer's agent, the buyer agent.
correct, correct,
And you've done
Yep.
deals with their.
correct. And I have,
She should never have sent that offer.
absolutely. And that's where I was like,
She should be brought up.
Yeah.
oh, man, I know. And I almost did. I was like, I just don't want the board to even know my name. So like, I went heavily back and forth with that, like heavily. I feel like it will always come back on that person to where, but I was closer than I ever had been, for sure. I mean, I was like, she's like, well, I mean, I pulled comps and I thought for sure it was gonna appraise higher. She sent me the comps that she pulled. They were in different cities. And mine was like a 1.5-story bungalow. She's literally sent me ranches and colonials. I'm like, I have it's a freaking 1.5 story, but you can't do a colonial or a ranch that is a mile away across freaking Telegram. Are you kidding me? Like, she's literally like she was just trying to make her number like to her buyer, I guess. But she like really thought that those are good comps. And I was like, okay, let me show you the comps that I pulled in the same neighborhood. Freaking moron.
So she lied to her buyer, using the comps that she
I
wanted to
didn't-
use to get her buyer to write an offer to win, and
Yes,
screwed her buyer over also and you.
Correct.
Because she was chasing. her
correct.
paycheck.
She's like, well, I didn't think we we're gonna have to use it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God. Like, no, you have to tell your buyers, like, you count this money gone.
Yeah.
And if if you don't have to use it, oh my gosh, they could use this, right? But just count it that it's gone. Yeah, so if you wanna meet in my office, I'll show you the email.
Spinning back.
So your seller came to have it come down.
Oh, yeah, and they were pissed. And I was like, I have worked with this agent, because now it's killed the messenger. Right now, I look like I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. I'm like, I have bank statements, they're using my preferred lender. They gave my lender like their 401k docs or their stock docs. And they literally just decided, no, we're gonna have too big of a hit. We don't wanna do it.
So they had the money, they just didn't wanna do it.
She had most of it and wouldn't do it.
Except most of it.
Right, but she wouldn't do it. She would not,
She wouldn't give anything.
None.
So you had,
None.
your sellers had.
My sellers were like, Pharen, we just want it done. Because I gave them that option.
But they could have backed out, correct?
The sellers?
Yeah, because.
Yeah.
But they just wanted to get it done.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Wait, so would the buyer have walked away instead of putting that extra?
Oh, yeah, yeah. Yep, we would have lost it, because I mean, we went round and round. We went round and round. I even had my lender who was on my side, he was talking to the buyers like, this is what she did. And they're like, wait, what? We told her we didn't want to use that money. And she told us that we weren't going to use it. She just said we had to write it in like that. Like, so you're advising, like literally giving illegal advice.
Why didn't she just give up her
Yeah.
commission
Oh, she did.
and?
Actually, she did. And that was my revised email.
Yeah, her commission should have gone to the sellers.
It did, it did.
Oh, did?
It did. I totally forgot about that until you said it. Yes, I will pull these emails, because that was my revised, that was my email that I actually sent over, and I made it I made her come to the conclusion without me asking for it. Cause I was like, I don't know about you, but I really wanna get this done for my clients. How about you? She's like, oh yeah, I'm willing to do anything. I was like, glad you said that. Glad you said that. She was like, I talked to my broker and I mean, they won't allow me to work for free. So I have to get something. And I'm thinking like, for what? You did nothing, you totally off the deal. Like, you don't deserve to get paid on this.
She had to pay her cap.
For real, right, right. So I think she ended up walking with like 1,000 or two, and then the rest of it did go to my seller. But I mean, we're talking, what, $5,000 as opposed to 13. So there's still, that $6,000, $7,000 gap or whatever. But they were just wanting to get it done, and it really did leave a bad taste in their mouth from me, even though I had nothing else to do with it. Right? So that sucks because they were a referral partner. They were referred from a past client. They live in my old community, so we know a lot of the same people. So I sent them a really awesome closing gift. Just thank you. I just kind of try to smooth it over. But yeah, that was dude, I still want to punch her in her throat.
Do you always do closing gifts?
No, I do not always do closing gifts, only for the people that I like.
What do you do
And
for the ones you like?
I actually I'm really personal on it. Like throughout our home buying process, I'll find out what they like. So these particular sellers, they were merging, they had, what was it? 4 children at home, 1 with a baby, and then one of their kids had like their boyfriend or girlfriend or whatever living with them. Like a ton of people, right? So one of my best friends from high school, he owns JJ's cheesesteaks and cheesecakes. So it's like a meat, grass-fed, organic, whatever. So he put together for me like a really huge like meat package for them. It was summer and grilling and stuff like that. So I had some steaks and burgers and all of that, and there's something different, right? And then for I actually just had a closing, was a referral. Friends from church referred me, it was a buy sell. So it was about 800,000 right, just from the one client or whatever. So I got them, in the process of doing all of it right now, but I got a really cool charcuterie board from Amazon, and it has like a tray that pulls out and has like all the utensils. So my aunt and uncle who are here in Brighton, they have an engraving thing in their garage. So they're gonna engrave like their, established whatever, like on there, and then I put my info on the back of it. I think 'cause they want it personal, right? Like they don't want like just your logo hanging out, right? So like something for them, but it was only $40 too, and it has like almost like a moat around it, like for all the crackers and stuff too. Like I'll show you, it's really cute.
I do that too.
Yeah.
I order 'em off Amazon and then pass them on.
There you go. So I found out that they got new chickens. So they have 2 little boys. So I went on Amazon and got the Hulk arms for the chickens. And then this one has like a huge sword. So like the chickens are walking around like battling. And then I did get a rug as well. And it was like Psalms 91, like we are covered or whatever, like, from church, and they're believers, whatever. So I try to make it really personal for them too. Something that they're actually gonna use, not a throwaway. And then others, like I have, my friends that like to drink, I'm bringing mimosas to close it. Like, here you go. Like, oh, you got Grand Marnier too. There's a bartender in me. Like, well, it's not a mimosa if you don't have a floater of Grand Marnier. I don't know if you knew that. Other than that, it's just champagne and orange juice. So if you don't take anything away, at least now you know how to make a good mimosa, right? Right? You have something else?
Yeah.
What's up?
So this has happened a few times where your buyers have been around the block, they're older, they've sold a few houses, whatever. Of course, this is actually something that's happening right now too, but it's happened quite a few times, but we looked at the furnace, we knew it wasn't original, it's older, the AC is from 93. So, but the AC is in like pristine condition, like the entire home.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Heck
Doesn't
yeah.
look old. So that's old though. They clearly are gonna wanna negotiate on this fact. you go to the seller's agent already know, the listing agent already knows it's gonna come up with other inspections, blah, 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 blah.
Right,
Maybe you guys should have known it was a sold, whatever. Furnace is like failing, but it's still working. I guess the thing is like, let's say we want 10 grand to do HVAC, sellers say no, you tell your buyers, and then I always feel like the buyers think you're not trying for them, where I'm like, I'm trying, I'm just a messenger, they said no.
Mhm.
But like how, buyers that have been around, you know, it's not their parents telling them, it's like, I'm trying, like, they said no, so I know it's back to you, but it's probably a more me problem. I feel like, they feel like I'm not doing enough, but I'm
I
like,
do the same,
I
I
swear,
do the same
like-
thing. I know.
literally everything you said, I feel like we're exactly the same person, I'm just a little more extroverted than me, but I'm like, everything you say, I'm like, yes, sir. But anyways, I'm just like, I hate that feeling, like, they feel.
They
like-
don't trust you,
Like, you're a kid, you don't know what you're doing.
for sure.
You know what, I'm like, I swear to God, like, I'm trying. They
Yeah.
said no, like, do you
Yeah.
want it or not? There's other offers. They were close.
Right,
I guess it's a hurdle of like telling the buyers, like,
I think like the older buyers that suck your confidence right away,
I'm
that, like
type A,
they're a
they're like
no-no.
super type A.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, ugh.
Yeah, I hate that feeling, that's the worst.
Is there a way to present it better to the buyer where you're like, it's making enough, just, I tried, we come back and forth, like, I don't know.
I mean, I would say, right now in this market with multiple offer situations, you're not getting anything off. We already knew that it was on its last leg. You need to get a home warranty or the DTE home warranty if that is truly your main concern. Why would they come down and take 10 grand off of their gross or their net when they have people chomping at the bit to get in here?
Yeah.
I tried, I told you I would at least try. I presented to them, that's all I can do. And then I flip it too, like, if you were selling, you're selling your house, and you have multiple offers, are you gonna give 10 grand off for a furnace that people already knew that was on the seller's disclosures, that was already done in 1990?
That wasn't listed, but they
Oh.
didn't have the HVAC numbers on there, but they have other things updated where I'm like,
Right,
this isn't a brand new house, you're getting a pristine home. Like,
For sure.
The home's absolutely gorgeous, but
now you're
this
nitpicking,
guy is
that guy,
I need to win. I'm like, well,
Oh.
first of all, we just won and you're
Right.
welcome.
right?
And
And then I would flip it, I would flip it like
I've
this.
had so many like that where they just
Same.
want to win, and I'm like,
Yeah.
okay.
I would flip it like this, like, is it worth losing this house over 10 grand?
I think that's what I'm gonna be. I just don't want, I hate feeling like they feel I haven't done the job, but.
No, I totally.
That
get
might be just me. That might be.
No, and that could be how they're like literally making you feel, that's the vibe they're putting on you, so you're being intuitive, taking that in. But just know you're damn good at what you do, you really are, you're a good agent, you know what you're doing, and then if you need anything like that, like, dude, give me a call. Like, call me, I still have girlfriends that I've worked with and other brokerages, like, we're still on threads together, like, hey man, can you look over this addendum, or you need to talk me off the ledge. Like right now, you know, or like I really need to help, like it's good to work it out and talk it out, because seriously, bring it to them as if they were sellers, and are you willing to lose this pristine house over a furnace? Because that's literally what it's coming down to. When there are ways around it, you can get a home warranty, right? And I would even say, if you really feel like that, like, home warranty is $600 a year. Is getting this house worth $600 a year? And any more pushback, I never try to give up commission, ever. But, because especially if they're gonna like expect it or something like that, like always try, it's only $600, only $600, right, whatever. And if you really are going down to that, then offer to buy the home warranty or ask them to do a home warranty.
Do you guys have any home warranty companies that you use that when something like that, that's older fails, they actually replace?
So they're all different.
Yeah,
Right. Does anyone have experience with a decent?
No,
Yeah.
but like American Home Shield, their furnace coverage
I like them.
is
Preferred.
better
Yeah,
than
America's preferred,
America's Preferred.
Yeah.
America's preferred stuff.
it does,
Yeah, that's the one that was supposed to be at the last KW,
Home-
and they don't give a
Yep.
shit.
they don't.
Sorry, yeah.
They don't.
They don't cover a furnace that's 20 years old.
So
Any of them?
they'll give you like, for how old it is, they'll give you a credit
Right.
towards
Up
that,
to-
right?
Up to $6,000.
Right, when it never gets there, you're talking like a couple $100.
Yeah, that would pay for maybe the furnace.
No.
And they'll only give you the credit if you replace it, then they will
Did you
reimburse.
say
you.
600?
They don't give you the money.
It
up
depends, like, sometimes it's a couple $100. Honestly, there's a couple different DTE plans.
Yeah.
Some are $20, some are $40, but America's Home Shield, I've had clients
on
use
their
that
website.
for a furnace, and I've done that. Give them a couple options, like, hey, would this
Yeah.
make you feel better?
I give them the 2 brochures,
Yep.
and I'm like, you guys look these over and decide which one you think covers you best. And I tell them, just know that they don't cover everything. And if they can fix something rather than replace it, they're gonna fix it.
And that's with any of them, same with
Yes.
DTE, they will come out and they will try to fix.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, fine.
Yeah.
You know, but,
I always need a new furnace. which is nice.
yeah,
Well, when the service provider is there, if you tell them, you know, I have a home warranty, so this isn't coming out of my pocket. So if you happen to find a we can replace it, that would be greatly appreciated.
and no, for sure,
And when you come,
and let them
and when
know.
you come to replace it, I'll also have $50 to buy you a couple beers and dinner afterwards.
Bribery, I'm not above that. Bribery goes a long way, especially like.
I tip service providers no matter what, so that's just my tip that I would give to them.
Love it,
And then hopefully
That I
pick
don't
up
have to
another
pay for
client.
it.
yeah,
Home
right,
Shield, can I get it on their website or do you
You
guys have
should.
PDFs somewhere?
you should be able to,
The
yeah,
other thing I sometimes would tell sellers, even if it was a multiple offer
Mhm.
situation and we were the winner.
it's going to come up in everyone
It's
else's.
going to come up in
right.
any other home inspection.
Right.
So you might as well just try and work this out if you can.
Yeah.
Especially if it's something like mold or anything
Yeah.
structural
Yes.
or health and safety.
Oh, I'm coming back for that, for sure, yeah.
Even if I put it in the offer, pass fail.
I just had a pass
Okay.
fail when we won that one too.
And I will go back.
We did
and be
negotiate.
like,
Same,
I know
Same.
the pass fail.
then it
but
failed,
This is gonna, it failed. We can either back out or you can try. one pass
and
fail.
I'll swing time also.
Yeah,
Like, so now you have to wait for another inspection period. So it's gonna be at least another 14 days. Are your sellers wanting to pay another month?
and what else might they find?
Absolutely.
That we're willing to let slide.
So true, so true. Because what is a big deal to one is not to another. And I'll even say that to my buyers too. When they're like gung ho on this, right? I'll swing it to them like, well, you may be really upset about this, but the next guy is willing to pay $600 for the 1 year, and that's not a deal. That's not a deal breaker for him. Or he's a contractor and he can fix it. Doesn't matter. So what's a big deal to you is not to the next, you know? Everyone, right? Right? And okay. I got that. Did I say that? Were you gonna say something?
Oh, I had somebody write for informational purposes only, and then he came back asking for like over $8,000 on a 290 house.
Mhm.
And it wasn't anything in particular that was major, like what the offer was saying. He was like, well, there was this and this and this and this, and I added all of this stuff up, and I was like, do you understand what your offer says? You know what I mean? And I was not happy about it, and then come to find out, the agent asked for it, and after we were almost closed, I found out that, his clients did not want to ask and pushed, and asked for it anyway.
Wait, they didn't want
That's
to
a
have
good
any
thing.
sessions at all? Did you sell get it?
We negotiated down to 2, so, yeah.
I think that as a seller,
Well, I have like,
as a seller, they did not, when I get that, like, an offer, I tell them, I'm like, this is, I'm like, I say that's meaningless. Like,
Yeah.
you saying that inspection for information only is meaningless, right? Because then why do it?
Absolutely.
And do it after,
Exactly.
and do it after you close.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm saying, take it out of there, if you want to inspect.
I stopped writing that.
After you close, go ahead and do inspection how you want,
Yep.
because for that very reason, it is some bullshit.
When I tailor my offer, when I send it over, I always do, like my offer breakdown, right? I say like little, you know, thank you for answering all my questions, blah, 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 offer breakdown. And I'm like, 1, what we're offering, 2, aging, and escalation, 3. And then if I do say anything about the inspection, I say, only, this is how I work, I only come back on health and safety issues, right? I even started taking that out because guess what? Buyers are like, oh, well, this isn't bad, but, and so now you're going back on your word and screw him for him initiating all of that, right? But that's just how I feel to where I'm like, I'm not even saying anything, like I'll shorten my inspection period, sorry to spit, to make sure that we're like in and out or whatever, but I try to avoid saying anything because buyers change their minds all the time.
Yep.
right? At first, like, oh, this is perfect. Oh, we don't need this, we don't need that, don't need that. Then they spend 3 hours in the house, like, oh man, do you see that ceiling fan? That's a little wonky. That's $5,000. You know, that's $5,000. So if it, I just started lying, put that in there, but I completely agree with you, it's crap. And when I have put it down, damn well knowing if my buyers want me to come back for something, I'm coming back.
Well,
Then you have to.
I think he had the intention of doing it that way on purpose, so I
Oh, he
think
did.
it's different when you
Absolutely.
don't know. And you
It's the
don't
principle of everything now.
know.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah, I agree.
Yeah, no, that agent is on.
Mhm.
with me too, so,
Mm-hmm.
and like, what? What? If you really want a story, I can tell you a story.
Yes, we do. We love story time.
Once you're on the buy side and once you finish the inspection, at the end of your like addendum, you say, purchaser is satisfied with inspection, inspection contingency removed. Do you add anything like that?
So I have,
Okay. I was just curious. I didn't
If
know.
you're asking for repairs, I would put
Yeah, it
sit-
depends.
completion of these items to the buyer's satisfaction. Will remove these.
Gotcha.
I've-
Or just like once inspection's done, just so they don't come back after the house is closed and they're like, well, this and this and this.
No.
It's like, no, you signed it saying that you were satisfied with the
yes,
inspection.
yeah,
You
yeah.
didn't protect yourself at.
I've done it both ways, especially depends on what we're asking for, if we're not asking for anything. And then sometimes if you're working with an out of area agent, they actually, like a lot of my Washtenaw agents, they require the contingency release, right? Even though you're out of your time or whatever, but it's just that extra layer of protection. But I've also gone into, especially if you're in the freezing moments and you need like a cement repair, right? Inspection contingency, removed, or I'll put like to be completed within this time frame, blah, 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 due to escrowed monies or whatnot. And then the rest of the inspections are, buyers satisfied, whatever. But always try to itemize it out. Especially if you're asking for anything. Like if the well water has something in it, I'll write that out. Like the rest of the inspection contingencies are removed. Once buyer is satisfied with water inspection, we will order appraisal within X amount of days. Like, I've gotten super, it really depends.
You have to be careful with that too, because if you say, if you add on there and fireworks on the home assets, if something happens between.
Yeah, good call.
inspection and closing, you're kind of screwing your buyer.
So I don't ever put as is.
Yeah.
No, I'll put my last line item on every single addendum is all other items and terms remain the same.
Yes.
Right? So if I'm changing anything, it's number 3 or whatever that last number is everything else is the same. It's kind of like your sign off signature. I don't want to leave anything open-ended. And then another big thing too, when you're writing purchase agreements, one of my first ever offers that I wrote as a buyer or buyer's agent period, was to a lawyer. Dash out those boxes. No empty boxes. Do not leave anything for interpretation. There are shady MFers out there that will write something in and you will miss it, right? One I missed as a listing agent, this chick wrote in, there is no expiration of home inspection. None. They came back just before closing, trying to negotiate on something for the inspection. And I was like, what the hell are you doing? This was done, weeks ago. She's like, well, no, ours never ended. Right. And she had it in there to where it just looked like it was supposed to be in there. It was a blank, I typed it and did not have any initials next to it. Nothing changed, nothing. So I'm glancing back over. It was a negotiation and wrote it in and got it freaking right underneath my nose.
I had a listing agent do that on one of my addendums. He whited out language and then typed in the same font, changed terms. So don't just immediately get stuff signed.
For real.
I had one change occupancy date when they sent it back, it didn't tell me, but I caught it. 'Cause I
Good.
went through it.
Yeah,
So yeah, that was like, and it made a difference. It was around Christmas time. So,
for sure. For sure, man.
yeah, that's great.
They're everywhere.
Well, there's a couple people that got burned recently with them, you know, like someone had to buy a $5,500 couch a couple months ago. Because
What?
it was one of those, love stacks.
Oh.
They wrote it in, and they wrote it in between, like washer, dryer, love stack couch,
Oh my
refrigerator, range. boom,
Oh,
boom,
yeah.
boom. Like took, copied it out and then cut it in the middle, so you like,
Yeah.
you know, 'cause that's.
Your eyes are just skipping right
Typically a
over.
glance over. yeah.
Dishwasher.
Yeah, and I
Oh,
forgot what Kaylee told us. She got burned on one with them doing something, interesting with their purchase agreement, but I don't know.
My personal thought is like, you're probably gonna run into those agents again and be like, oh, they tried chatting, right? So
Yeah.
why? Like, why do that? A DocuSign, does it keep track of how many characters are in a document when you send something over like in Word?
I don't know. I don't use that sign.
I'm gonna look. 'Cause,
Yeah.
even if it's 10 characters more, when they send it back, that you're not seeing.
Well,
What if it's all went through the same
Not-
characters though?
not every agent
That's
is
true.
using DocuSign.
I don't.
We use that.
Yeah, I use that.
And this guy, it was all wet signatures on his end.
Oh,
So
okay.
if he whited something out and pasted something in and
Yeah.
Xeroxed it, you can't see that it's changed.
How did you see it?
I just.
That's a lot.
Yeah, that's devious.
That's
I could
multiple.
see where it was
like,
changed, and I knew that it was an
intentions.
issue.
Yeah.
But we had been discussing that issue, and he just went and changed it.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome.
I have
Welcome.
to
Thanks for
say,
coming.
Everything.
Yeah.
Same house, I just
Okay.
noticed, well, we looked at it the other day, it says gas range, gas filter range, when we got there, we saw it was electric. And I'm like, it's probably just a bit
Typo.
from the whoever, you know, but I copy and pasted that onto our PA, and it says gas range now.
I would cross that out and have them initial it and send it back.
I'm the buyer.
Yeah, I'd cross it out and send it to the seller, say, that was, I went off of what you put on your MLS. It is not a gas range, it's electric. I wanna make sure that I'm covered in this channel right here.
They want electric or gas.
They want gas, but they're doing it because I'm like,
That's right.
that's an advantage to my,
But what if,
but I'm not shady like that, I would be like.
well, they could just say, no, it was a typo, they wouldn't honor it anyway. And then a lot of them too, if you're doing electric, they might not have a gas line ran. So
Right,
then you're calling the plumber and that's $400 to have a line installed.
Yeah, I mean, in that case, it was definitely a mistake.
Yeah.
Well, I told them that when we were there, I'm like, it's a mistake, I said, whoever put in there, it's a team, so I was like, whoever put in there, so.
Yeah.
But whatever, you know what I mean?
And buyers. Keep a list of agents.
Yeah, can we share that like amongst the office?
Actually, no,
Unfortunately, no.
you can't,
Okay.
I can't.
That's my cue to end this.
Yeah, I can't do it.
it.
Can't do
We
it.
have 2 minutes.
I had something in my
Yeah, that one's
eye.
got about a half hour edit. You're gonna have to go through it.
Thanks for coming. Mwah. To my one person.
She's
Um,
on Red Door.
Maria put in here to, I don't know if you guys, if you have to go, obviously you can. I just had a couple other bullet points on here if you wanted to discuss anything, but, how do you talk to the listing agent, right? Getting them to share whatever, I just keep them. Especially if it's, we had this in Kirsten's class last week, like, how are you as a listing agent? Like, do you let your people know, let the buyers know what the other offers are, things like that? Personally, absolutely. I'm always trying to get the most money for my seller, right? Or have my buyer a chance to win. So like that duplex I was talking about, I had constant contact with that listing agent. And luckily, he actually was one that answered his phone and worked how I do. I was like, hey, I just keep calling, I'll keep on updating you. Heck yeah, man. You're my new best friend. You know, like, what are we supposed to do? How can I get this house? How can I get it, you know? But a lot of them, especially the older agents that, still get the wet signatures. Like, I've been here for 60 years. It's against my ethics. I've actually only done this once, 'cause I knew I wasn't going to get my offer accepted, but I sent them the ethics with it highlighted, saying that you actually can tell the buyer's agent if you have your seller's permission, you know, things like that.
Awesome, yeah.
I've done it once, I won't do it again. Because people just don't want to hear it, right? They don't want to be corrected. They know more than you. They don't want to hear it. And then it's almost like you're being combative when you're really just trying to educate them to really help their sellers get the most money. The only time that I haven't shared or wouldn't is because if my offers were lower than asking or something, and if it's not doing a service to my seller, right, I'm all, but, yeah, keep them talking.
So now we know, oh, yeah.
Mhm.
Not giving us any information.
I'm like, I haven't, oh no, this is it. I haven't looked at all the offers yet. I don't know. Bullshit. Bullshiggity. Actually, sometimes you are in your car and you're driving, like, I get it, but almost every
Just
time.
like lying around, sorry, my window's down.
Hi. Woohoo. For real.
I guess I struggle with the whole telling agents the leading price, like what the other offers.
Why?
Because if you've got like 20 offers,
Mhm.
you're gonna tell every single one.
Absolutely, if they ask. If they ask.
I go to like the top 5 that you think your seller will probably accept, you know, if they're cash or, you know, if there's some FHA or VA, they're not even close to these, go to the top.
For sure. I mean, I don't want to waste anyone's time, right? I don't want to scare off anyone either. But if that number's, if you think it's going to scare them off, they're not going to write that high anyway, right? So especially if you're already working with those offers, like, hey, listen, this is the highest one that I have right now. And if you want to go into it, I'll give the terms also. Like, they're giving 60 days of free occupancy. They're paying down the taxes and paying part of my commission or something. So sometimes it's not even the highest amount, but it's the terms if it matters to the sellers.
So
But
then,
absolutely, I'll tell
so
them.
then you go back to the agent of that offer and then say, hey, I just spilled the beans on your offer. to
Sure.
somebody else. Do you wanna go out?
Sure, well, someone else came in higher.
Yep.
Absolutely. Keep
And
pushing
if
it
someone
up.
comes in higher, then you can then call them and say someone just came in higher.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Until they're tapped.
When I'm in multiple offers, I ask, am I close? And if they say yes, I'd be like, what do
Well,
I,
I do that.
what do I need to do to, you know,
Mhm.
put our, you know, in first position?
Right.
And they'll tell you 90%.
And if they, it's like, if I came in at 265, would that be enough to get it done?
Yeah, I do that as a buyer's agent,
Mhm.
but as a listing agent, I don't know.
Why is it a guessing game? Let them know.
Yeah.
Like, hey, you actually have, and I'll tell them too, like, hey, listen, write it up because you don't know who's gonna back out anyway. This is the highest offer that I have right now, but buyer's remorse, we all know is a real thing. Right? So if they pull, like, that's why I won't do highest and best, I'll do an offer deadline. It just sounds a little bit better instead of like scaring people off. But I'm like, hey, we're listed at 285 and I have a 313. And with already 12 offers, like, this is what I have. I don't want to waste your time. Like, can you beat it? Can you beat it or not? Right? Like, oh man, I'll go back and tell them, all right, cool, let me know, send it in. Right? And then too, if another one comes in, because unless that person is keeping constant contact with you also, like, chances are they're only gonna ask one time. What do I need to do? Where do I need to be? What's your highest offer right now? Right? And you're telling them X amount. And then when the deadline comes in, I mean, oh my gosh, that could have been surpassed 3 hours ago, you know? So, but I'm going back to all of them, hey, this is what I have. Thank you so much for your highest and best. This is the offer that we're thinking on accepting. Can you beat it? Do you want to be a backup? If you can't, right? So give them all the same courtesy, but not every buyer's agent is going to ask either. I mean, sometimes I'll just feel like, hey, I have 7 offers and 3 are cash. This is where I'm at. Can you beat it? They're like, oh my God, thank you so much. I was gonna like miss my daughter's recital to go and, you know, write this up or whatever. But no, I try to be as open as possible without doing any harm to my seller and all of that, right? So it's like anything
You don't want
real
them to
estate,
drop out.
case by case, right?
Well, and I've
But then what? But if they do drop out, you think they're gonna pass the inspection?
Right.
Well, they're gonna drop out anyway, that's not your person, that's not your buyer, cool, bye. Next. I told
So you want to do your listing class next, when you sign
him,
up?
sure. let's go.
Well, I had that happen like 2 deals in a row, like 2 years ago, when the market was crazy, like when first people went so far above.
Mhm.
2 different houses, those people dropped out, and the second people were so heartbroken, they were in, they didn't care about the
Yeah.
space, and they're like, I'm.
For sure, for sure. Oh my gosh, I had last year, I had 3 different listings that I had to sell 3 times each. Probably,
And they're usually on a good damage or when you end up.
yeah, because a lot of the times too, this buyer's remorse is such a real thing that when it gets to inspection, reality sets in, they're like, oh crap, I paid $70,000 over for this. Nah, man, and I need to put in a new furnace, right? So I mean, it's real. So when you have that much competition too, like it's so great to be open with the other buyers agents and give them all that same kind of rapport. Because chances are you might come back to them like, hey, thanks so much for your time. Are your buyers still interested? Because they just backed out. Yeah, it was 3 in 1 year, man. 3 different contracts on each of them. That's heartbreaking. But it's also the name of the game, right? When you have more competition, I swear that it happens like that more. But any other questions? No? Thank you so much for coming. I really thought it was just gonna be me and Marie. I was like, man, I don't have to do this, right? If no one shows up.
I was like, nope, nope.
I don't wanna do
You
it.
got
just
10
for
years in the
that
game.
day.
You got a decade, girl.
I know.
You got
I was
lots of
looking at my
stuff to
freaking
share.
numbers, like last year was like literally the worst I've ever done.
It was a
Oh,
rough year for everyone, I
nuts,
think.
man. That was nuts.